Welcome back, demigods. And now we're going to be doing the review of Book 4, The Battle of the Labyrinth. And The Battle of the Labyrinth is probably one of my favorite Percy Jackson books. It is an improvement to The Lightning Thief, also an improvement to The Sea of Monsters, and I believe slightly better than The Titan's Curse. Also, this can be proved simply by the point that Riordan has himself stated that this is his favorite book to write. Although it's still not my favorite book in the series, it is probably my second favorite. So, without further ado, let's just dive into the plot of this book. Okay, let's begin. So, the beginning of the book shows Percy trying out a new school. Now, we all know that Percy is dyslexic, ADHD, and monster attack prone. Because of being a son of the big three, that means Poseidon. He has to change schools very often due to that. And so he's going to be trying out a new school in which his stepfather, Paul Blowfist, is actually an English teacher. So he's going to try it out when he encounters Rachel Elizabeth Adair. Rachel Elizabeth Adair was a young lady who he met in the last book, The Titan's Curse, at Hoover Dam. Now, Rachel was a mortal, that means normal human being like you and me, who could see through the mist. The mist is a veil that separates the mythical Greek world from, the sight of mortal people. And she had the ability of seeing through that veil, much like Percy's own mother, Sally Jackson. So he encounters her and also three other cheerleaders of the school who he feels are a bit suspicious. Now, in the Percy Jackson universe, we all know that if you think somebody or something is even slightly suspicious, it's almost always going to be some sort of a monster. And of course, those three cheerleaders end up being monsters themselves. Percy, after a battle, managed to defeat them, literally vandalizes his school and has to jump out of a window to escape. He then meets Annabeth. They were supposed to go and watch a movie, but now they have to hastily return back to Camp Half-Blood. After returning, they come to know that a person who had been at Camp Half-Blood for quite some time now has gone to the Labyrinth. This is viewed as a betrayal, and I'm not going to be telling you the name of the person just yet. So after going, so the Labyrinth is like tunnel which exists underneath us. It was created by the genius and infamous inventor named Daedalus. Now this labyrinth is basically endless. You could walk like 10 meters and you could be in Canada. Like you're starting here in India or somewhere else. You walk like barely 50 meters or something and then you end up in South America. Like that's how this tunnel system works. And they're suspicious that the Titan Lord Kronos is using it to shift his army, and they need to put a stop to it. So, Tyson, of course, the brother, you can say half-brother of Percy Jackson, Annabeth, and his best friend Grover, all go down to the labyrinth to search and put a stop to Kronos' plans. During his journey in the labyrinth, he meets many gods and goddesses such as Janus, the two-headed god, the queen of the gods, Hera, who begins to have a personal vendetta with Annabeth. They go on many adventures, such as Grover completes his search for Pan, and Pan ceases to exist, and he enlists Grover and gives him the responsibility for trying to conserve nature. Additionally, there's another very big plot point in this book, and maybe my favorite scene of this book as well. And that is when Percy Jackson gets stranded on an island known as Ogygia and meets a lady known as Calypso. Calypso tells Percy that she was trapped by the gods for supporting her father Atlas during the Titanomachy, an event around which this Percy Jackson series is based. So After being imprisoned on this island, the gods would send her demigods who she would helplessly fall in love with, and they all would be complied to leave her stranded, heartbroken on the island. And now Percy has a choice to either stay with her or leave. And of course, Percy, who is an extremely loyal friend and always is entitled to help them, decides to make the hard choice and leave. Although he promises that he would do everything he can to free Calypso from Ogygia after the war with the Titan Lord is over. They have other adventures. They free Briareus, who's another one of my favorite characters. They fight a literal raccoon, which is a little different from a dragon. And just in the final part of the book, they have an epic battle. And the person who had gone down to the labyrinth turns out to be Daedalus. Daedalus then sacrifices himself, gives his laptop to Annabeth, which becomes essential not only in this series, but also in the Heroes of Olympus series. And that's basically the entire plot of this book, jumbled up in a nutshell. But now, the rating. It's, I guess, 4.5. And as I've earlier mentioned, this is my second favorite book in the series, right after the final one, which is The Last Olympian. And by the way, that book, it's going to be the next one, which I'm going to review. So stay tuned. Additionally, one of my favorite aspects of this book is the focus that they have on Rachel Elizabeth Dare and Nico D'Angelo. Nico D'Angelo, son of Hades, as mentioned in The Titan's Curse. His relationship with Percy is further added in this book, and I believe he is one of my favorite characters in this book as well. He has such a crucial role in either saving the group or killing them, as mentioned in the prophecy earlier in this book. And he proclaims himself to be the Ghost King, and he is just a very badass character in this book. And the final part of this book is where he tells Percy about a secret plan that he has, that Percy thinks is so crazy and drastic that he is himself scared to undergo this plan or the scheme of Nico D'Angelo. But we'll find out what that is in the next book, which, by the way, is my favorite one, The Last Olympian. Really excited to review that one, so stay tuned, demigods.